Hello, this is Ernest Antolik, and I'm with you to discuss the aspects of truth of the Almighty, the Most High, Spirit. As you know, there are the connectivities between every piece of matter that are measured as energy. They have been called hydrogen bonds by science. You know, hydrogen bombs and hydrogen bonds. So hydrogen is a very strong gas, is it not? What makes it strong? What makes it explosive when under pressure? Maybe it isn't explosive under pressure, and I haven't had the right concept as of now, and spoke this to you improperly. So, however, a hydrogen bomb does exist, and a hydrogen bond is named by science. We may not understand all of the science and chemistry, and that may be a very, very good thing that you don't, for the purpose that you understand the energy within every living thing is more than simple and not so complex. For the energy has been measured and documented. All energy has the potential to be measured by the peak and trough of the wave. All energy has waves, and the peak and trough are measured in nanometers, very small increments of a meter. So there you have a full-on experience of measuring the waves between the bonds inside of a cell nucleus or inside of your own tissues that aren't touching, whether inside of your cell or outside of your cell. And this is where we'd like to go today, to allow you to see that the bigger picture of your body, the bigger picture of your universe or your environment that you are in, dictates the small environment. So science today says that our life is dictated by a small environment, a molecular environment, where I beg to differ that we are being dictated to by the larger environment, specifically of your body inside of your skin, all right? Inside of your cranium, your cranial vault, your thoracic cavity, your cranial cavity, your every tissue, every form of your body is dictated by what's outside of you. So an old philosophy of chiropractic and an old philosophy of naturopathic medicine, meaning not allopathic drugs or surgery, drugs being something that is able to create a toxic response in your body that your body responds to, so the symptom is avoided. But naturopaths, the opposite of allopaths, naturopaths, or naturopathic doctors today, N-A-T-U-R-O, naturopathic doctors, are following the natural pathways, attempting to. In the past they did, and today they are attempting to. Truly, today they are attempting to follow the natural paths. The books have been fed to the same information as the allopathic AMA formed textbooks have been fed to the naturopathic schools today. Since about 1987, 1989, when the California Organic Food Act was passed, lobbyists renamed, gave that name, lobbied for the name of the act to be called the California Organic Food Act, when in fact it itself has a whole lot more to say about naturopathic doctors being able to practice in the state of California than it does about the toxins of non-organic produce being formed and fed to cattle that caused mad cow's disease or bovine encephalitis in humans as they ate the dead cattle who had cancer and were ground up and fed to the living cattle to increase their protein. So your body at a macroscopic, meaning the big picture, macro big, micro small level, is forming cell structures in your body, just like you were when you were a child. Cells divided. Let's say they multiplied based upon the environment you were in. If the sperm and the egg were outside of the door of the room or outside of the two lovers, the two parents, then life couldn't begin. Right? So your environment first dictates the microscopic level. Things had to be right in that room. So you have oxygen, air outside of you that you breathe. That's your environment. Blood flows back into the heart faster than it leaves the heart. Science teaches us from the microscopic level how this occurs. The microscopic level they call osmotic pressure gradients upon the capillary bed of the blood underneath of our skin, called the periphery, and the origin being deep to the tissues, specifically the heart, being the center. However, there's more to the center of the being in the brain and spinal cord than there is in the heart. And our brain lives off of oxygen, primarily oxygen, and can live totally without blood to an area if the environment is right. And this is hyperbaric oxygen. Inside of that tank with stroke patients that aren't getting blood flow to the brain from the carotid artery out of the heart, which is supposedly the center of the human being, right? The center. And osmosis starts from the periphery, outside of the center, at our skin, and brings blood back into our heart. The environment is responsible, and here's how. Outside of your body, in the environment that you are in, there's 14 pounds per square inch of pressure that create the push of blood back to the heart. Yes, it is the oxygen outside of your body that you are standing in, let alone that you are breathing into your lungs, but the pressure on you. It's like a spacesuit. If you leave this environment of the earth, you will die unless you have a suit to be in that creates a pressurized unit for you. So you must have the oxygen. You must have that pressure. It must be balanced. So hyper means over, and baric means pressure. And when you're in hyperbaric, you increase that pressure, even more than 14 psi. And that increases the amount of oxygen in a cell. And in some of the metabolic function, or all of it, there are 21 times the amount of oxygen in your tissue, in your body, in your blood, in your brain tissue. One or all that have is correct. One or all are correct. So A, B, C, or D, right? Oh, you're so smart today, and now we'll give you an A, and you get your degree. So the pressure of oxygen is increased, and your brain thrives off of oxygen. Your brain is the center of your being. your will, your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions. They are before your heartbeat. They are primary. Nerve material is primary to all material in the body. So it is the heart. It is the center. Your brain and spinal cord are in the center of your being this way. Now, this way, your heart is near to the center, but it's not in the center. It's not the origin of life. Science has it all wrong. They didn't take their time. They didn't understand or communicate with the most high intelligent being to get their information. They communicated with a lower being, namely pride, namely lust and avarice and anger at one another and others, and competition and greed and politics. That's the allopathic way. That's the model. To cut you, to burn you, to poison you. Hello, a drug is a poison. To bring you a toxic level of some source, some material, to create a reaction so you don't experience the symptom. A reaction to the toxin that takes away your symptom. That's drug pharmacy. Pharmacopoeia. Meaning, look it up. There's your blank to fill in today. The meaning of pharmacopoeia. What is the definition? Not what your definition is or what you think it is, but the definition, the origin, so we find the root, whether what it's become to somebody else today, or what it is in itself. What it is in itself is primarily more important, of primary importance. So, right now you have this experience in your body that your brain and spinal cord are running. That is the center of your body. In a plane that runs vertically, in a plane that runs horizontally, the origin of the brain exists. The origin of the brain, your second brain, it is called. However, it was your first brain. While you were forming in your mother, that belly of yours, that second brain or gut feeling you have, just a gut feeling, is your first brain, not your second brain. That first brain formed your body while you were inside of your mother, and it is called the foregut. It is called, in embryology, it is called now in your body the myenteric. Myo meaning muscle, enteric meaning bowels, plexus. Plexus, bundle of many. Bundle of many what? The myenteric plexus, inside of the muscle of your ascending colon, beneath your liver, near to exactly the center of your body, is a bundle of many nerves, where serotonin and dopamine begin, before your brain receives them. They begin there. Now, science didn't know. Your body knew, and your environment was creating every response. Your environment is responsible for the blood flow back to the heart, and your environment is responsible for the sunlight on your skin. Both of those pressures, the gas and the light, are necessary for life, and they're formed by your environment. So, the old chiropractic and naturopathic philosophy of as is outside, so is inside. So is outside, so is inside. Outside there is pressure, there's a wave of light. And inside of your body, Bruce Lipton at Cal Berkeley and Stanford has found that there are waves of light. Hydrogen, ionic, and covalent bonds were named according to the mass and the matter that they held together, whether it was hydrogen or an ion of baridium or cadmium or selenium or zinc or zirconium or copper or iodine or phosphorus or nickel or gold or silver or yttrium or magnesium, or potassium, or calcium. The ion of, or held together. Now, we see that that bond that was invisible, named according to what it held together, the ionic, or the covalent, or the hydrogen bond. Covalent is an expression of the valence shells, do you remember? Of electrons and neutrons and protons. And I may have some of those wrong. Oh dear. However, covalence, from my memory, is why you had a bond named covalent. So actually, what exists that was given a name, an identification, was not the mass and the matter, the dirt that you're made up of. Humus. Humus means dirt. Soil. And sodium means sod, which is just one of the ions or minerals of the dirt. Just one. Not salt. Salt is every mineral of the dirt, including gold and silver, and yttrium and baridium and cadmium and selenium and zinc and zirconium and copper and iodine and phosphorus and nickel and gold and silver, again and again and again. So this bond is actually formed from your environment, outside of you. As is outside, so is inside. Waves of light you live by. Called vitamin D. Oh boy. Just a letter by the activity and the substances that you're made up of. And the light forms bonds that hold you together. The light makes you what you are. Now we're getting somewhere. The light makes you what you are. But, as Bruce Lipton at Cal Berkeley and Stanford found, light forms by what? There's your blank. Light forms by what? That's question number 2 on your outline. Light is formed by a wave that Bruce found constant to every light wave. Constant, always there, always present. Another measurement from peak to trough in its nanometers. Bringing about light, creating the bond that holds the ions together, bringing into this atmosphere visible expressions and mass and matter obeying it. Now the Most High only is responsible. I see. The Most High meaning outside. The most far away that you can get. How far can you go? How far does the rabbit hole go? Like in The Secret, the movie, the documentary. Well, I would say that it goes to eternity. Some description, no matter what description, I believe would fall short of how far is eternity. Without end. Not either without beginning. Without end and without beginning is eternity. And that is where science has measured, NASA reports show, sound waves coming from the star system of Orion. That's the latest news I've heard. So sound comes out of Orion within this universe that the Earth sets in. Sound. Maybe it's let there be light. That's the sound. Let there be light. Maybe that's in Hebrew, or maybe Yiddish Hebrew or Paleo. And then maybe it's in Latin, and then maybe it's in English. Maybe it's in German. Maybe it's in Spanish. There's a sound wave exiting the star system of Orion that strikes the planet from the sun after striking the third planet from the Earth? What is the third planet from the Sun? The Earth. And what is the third planet from the Earth? So, out of Orion is a sound wave. In your body is a sound wave that shows the origin of how you're held together by your bonds named hydrogen, ionic, and covalent. Is that not interesting? So, the light of the world. Is it the sun? It's said that it is the Word in the Scriptures, and in your Bible as well. Bible meaning of the word is logos. To log OS. Log your operating system. Inside of you is your brain and spinal cord, and you're logging in this information, which all information produces activity. You'll store what you've heard in an area of that log near to your parietal lobe, if not exactly there, and transfer it to longer short-term memory to say whether this is important or not happens right up here. Your frontal lobe, your will, where the strongest chemicals that serotonin produces in its feedback loop. How does it get there? Through fluids of the body? Is that not the environment of the cell? And then what happens with the frontal lobe and the rest of the body when messages are sent to the cells? Is it not important that you have a global experience in your body based upon the way you think, what you're thinking? These specific modalities are the center of your being, the way that you think, as the light of the world and the word of the Most High. Now, some of you might choose to step out of the room at this point in time, so go ahead. I'll wait for you to come back in eternity where there isn't a beginning or end. So, the word is the sound. The word is the sound. It is an eternal logos. The activated or the applied word of the Most High. Eternal One. Without beginning or without any end. And this is where we are today. This is why we are communicating to you the importance of understanding you, how you work, how your blood, your arteries, your veins, how your nervous system guides them, and how your lymph interacts with the both to form great, great, great reasons for you to live without disease. Starting in the brain, starts in the brain. Blood and lymph flow as well as nerve, plasma flows within the body. And it's all created by your environment, by the sun striking your skin. And the sun is created by the word, the sound wave, that exits the Pleiades or Orion, the star system. Now, where does that word come from that creates the sun that you live by, that you could not have life without? Inside your body, the same experience is observed. A sound wave is existent between the cells, creating the light wave in red, blue, green, orange, yellow, indigo, and violet, measured in nanometers from peak to trough, showing the sound wave as well as the light wave within your body that creates you as what you are. Let there be a human. Let there be a cow. So, there are the names observed, and there are the names that came. Oh, by a man, of course, by a woman, I would believe, and see that they are started, are created. Was it asexual production? Was it rheumatism of some sort? A rheumatoid experience? I doubt it. I doubt that it was a stuck, calcified experience. I believe it was a perfect day. of rest after 6 days of work. That brought about the experience you and I are in. And then the majestic experience, or like majestic magi, that followed and understood where the Messiah went and where he was. So we see the exploration of DNA by science, but yet the cause of the function and the movement of DNA, we don't, unless you come here, unless you see that sound and light are the form, unless you come into the Word that is formed, the being you are, came from a sound wave, hello. And so does the sun come from a sound wave. Can't get away from it. So you tell me, was it just a big bang, like does that form something? No. In your life, when you speak into it, your environment from the inside of you, what is outside of you, then you have life. You have the experiences that you're known of and that you're known for. You're known by and you're known for. What is your purpose? It's going to be found in what your environment contains, one way or the other. You're going to find life or you're going to find death. And this experience is amazing. The word, the logos on your tongue, the tip of it, gives you the impetus to speak, I believe. That I am full of light. I am a created being by the Most High Intelligence. The Most High Intelligence. Yes, and the subsidiaries of Him. Or, excuse me, I would say the subsidiary, singular, makes a plural. Elohim. El meaning one like the Most High. And that is Genesis. Let us make, and the word there is Elohim, make. And Elohim is plural for the Most Highs, the Eternal One, the Eternal One that has begotten an Eternal One. Before there was time, before there was a making or a creating of angels, of light beings, hello, that said, set apart, set apart, set apart, all day long. Wow, not like us, different. Created, and that began an experience of something that wasn't like what made it, what spoke it into existence. So we see, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's more complicated than just the angels are more complicated in their creation than humans are. Definitely, it is so. That is true. We are made a little lower than the angels. So their creation is higher than ours, and maybe it didn't even have to be spoken, but it was experienced by the Word and the light, who were the Logos that became flesh and dwelt among you. So we're waiting for the true return of the all Logos, the one that has all the words, not the evil that produces falsities and governances of the world powers coming together and showing miracles and signs and wonders and bringing you under the authority of that go-between. Yes, a go-between. Has been going between you and I for a long time. Actually going between ourselves. Going between the Most High and ourselves. Isn't it amazing? Read the book in the story of Job, the sufferer, the one who experienced more than anyone can imagine, even imagine the atrocities and the feelings and the emotions of one that really knew the Most High. So imagine the pain Just like, or very similar to, in some ways, I'm sure, the Messiah's pain of being rejected and murdered and allowed to die. Only so that he would show the world and those who saw him that he rose out of the situation, rose his body up, folded the grave clothes, and set them aside, showed that he was from eternity, without time, that only life and life-giver and the authority of that life, who was in eternity, was not created but begotten, came out of and from and through, not created by the Word, which he was the Word. You see, separate identity for the Son than the Father, a separate identity. Not created but begotten, brought out of, and then the angels. Created, higher than men. How were we created? We see that. How were angels created? I can only surmise. I see the story of man's creation written. I do see a story. I do see an experience in a written composite sketch of who you are, Satan. And the Most High has a composite sketch written in the words of who men are. And we know that we have the capacity to experience the fullness in our life of the Most High's presence by allowing ourselves and our will to submit. And then the rest of our frontal lobe, whatever else is there, can begin a new process of divinely changing our thoughts to become what the Most High desires and requires for set-apart status, for a status that begets you in what you were made for. As Satan rebelled, named Lucifer by some, but Satan, that created the fear and the frenzies from sexuality to eating to created these by temptations, drawing you away from your original source and your desire and your divine plan. Your divine plan just came to me. Plan extraterrestrial. Plan extraterrestrial. Oh boy, planet. So the plan ET is not the Earth. I believe it's a plan of extraterrestrials. The word, it's still claiming Earth, but it's not Earth. Earth is the ear and the TH. The ear that hears. The ear that hears. And so your words we hear today as you created the earth. Oh yes, we do. Read Genesis chapter 1 and read John chapter 1. That the word that was spoken by the Most High was the God. I don't like to use that term G-O-D because it's G-O-D. Like a goad. It's the Most High. And the set-apart one. G-O-D came from the fortune deity of good luck, G-A-W-D, to be gaudy, or wear your perfume and your pearls and your silver and gold trinkets. God, gaudy, G-A-W-D, in the first King James Version, G-A-W-D, God. However, it was a jot and tittle that was removed, and began the code, or the book called the Bible. From the scriptures, the jot and tittle were removed. Yod, He, Vod, He. That is Yahuwah. Not Yahweh, but Yahuwah. So as we're on to the name, it is important because the Word has created you. That sound wave that existed in the heavens before time began has spoken you into existence and became flesh and dwelt among you. That's Genesis chapter 1 and John chapter 1. So, This is the first step for any missionary. The first step to understand your origins. Who is on a mission of truth and error revealed? Both. Reveal both. A true missionary will. And not be afraid of the outcome. Only strengthen your parishioners. Only strengthen them. Only strengthen your children. Only strengthen them by giving them the truth. Strengthen them. Build them up. Encapsulate them only to send them somewhere that they may be used. Hello? Causing light to flow around them. True missionaries must understand both and divide also, of course, between good and evil, but also between soul and spirit, or pneumos, and what activates pneumos. Yes, soul is the word pneumos, a living soul. Became a living, activated oxygen. Became a living breath of God. Now you can be, you are, receiving what you have been given and living life. From the dirt to a man, and from the dirt you shall return. From the dirt you come, and from the dirt you shall return. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. I think they still say that nowadays. Humus, human. Humus means, right? Humus means of the bean, of the chickpea. No, wrong answer. Humus means soil. That bean grows up, Jack, out of the beanstalk and forms hummus. The wonderful Indian, the wonderful dish of any culture. Specifically the beautiful Indians. Specifically those from that great continent that produced men like Gandhi and others. So we have right now your capacity to learn and understand the words that I'm speaking as close as I possibly can to the origin and the source that you are of and from. This is the most beautiful thing that you can encapsulate and swallow. Before the first diet of Genesis chapter 1 that you encapsulate and swallow this. For what's in your wall, let. Not your wall outlet, your electric source, but what is in your wall, your wall, let. W-A-L, let. There be light in your house. Let there be light between your walls, in your walls. Right? Let the walls of your house hear you speak and shake. For some of those by the seashore shall, in times past they have, San Francisco. So be alert for the words of the Most High, as the water may assuage you, that hydrogen and that oxygen together. For the breath of God exists between every droplet, every single droplet. And that is if you may go there, like they had in Japan, that you breathe the life of God if you are submerged in water. That you find Him as close to you as that water is to Him. And you receive your life, your true life, entering into eternity if the waters assuage you. And come to pass. May you have life and life abundantly, full of eternal light, full of the Word that became flesh and dwelt among you and showed He was the Son of the Most High. Not only begotten, not begotten, I would like to say, but born, I would like to say. And if they mean the same thing, then there be it. I will be so thankful for responses from you all out there who hear this and have something to say and give me back feedback and love for the Most High, as my purpose is to share what He has given us. Remember the first diet in Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, that those resources that live by light, and you absorb them, encapsulate them, juice them, get the